Thank you for joining us for the 2-minute drills. I'm Aram Talegian, San Gabriel Valley Newspaper Group football writer, joined by San Gabriel Valley Tribune Prep Sports editor Fred J. Robledo. Freddie, big one tonight, or I should say Thursday night, in the Mission Valley League. El Monte hosting South El Monte, their big rival, in the Griffin Bowl. This one, Freddie, is El Monte at 7-2, 4-0 in league. South El Monte 5-4 overall, 3-1 in league. We are playing for the league championship on this night. El Monte will be bidding for its. I think if they win, obviously they're going to have a share. If they lost, they already have a share locked up. But this outright league title that they're playing for on this night, that they'll be heavily favored to get, will be the school's first since 1979.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, Aram. Sharing the league title, even though it's their first league title since '79, they do not want to share it, especially against a team like South El Monte. I think El Monte's looking at this like this is for all the marbles. This is really what you play for. I mean, it almost reminds me of that U.S. hockey team. Steve likes to bring that up way back in 1980 when they beat the Soviets. And then they get into that gold medal game, and I know this is a horrible explanation, but they get in there against the Finns, and the coach says, you're not going to win the biggest game of the year and lose to a bunch of whatever Finns. Right. That's how they feel about South El Monte. They're not going to beat Arroyo for the first time in God knows how long, over a decade, and then lose to South El Monte in the final on Thursday. This is too important, also for a #1 seed in terms of having a chance to do something in that Mid-Valley playoffs, because that's very important, I think, for El Monte, because I think they want to get out of the first round too.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those teams, once-in-a-generation team, really.
Yeah.
You look at the success they've had over the last 10, 15, 20 years. This obviously doesn't happen, and you've got Brandon Martinez, who can set the East San Gabriel Valley passing record. He needs just, if he gets 200 yards or more, he's got it. He passes Mike Smith, the guy who set the record way back in 1982. So big game on a lot of levels for El Monte, and I'm sure South El Monte, listening to this now, would just love to be the spoiler.
Well, I don't think, I think like, your hockey comparison, Russia was, or the USSR was, the second best team.
Yeah. El Monte is that. I mean, Arroyo is that to El Monte.
No, they are. But in reality, South El Monte is the second best team in the league right now. They're in second place right now. They beat Arroyo. They are the legit number 2. Yeah. So I don't think that I know what you're trying to say, but I'm not sure that I would say South El Monte is.
My point is they don't want to beat Arroyo.
Right.
I was there that night on homecoming and saw what it meant to those kids. You don't want to win that game and then blow this one in the finale.
Right. And that's the key. And you mentioned once in a generation, Fred. That's what Brandon Martinez is. You don't see players like this all the time at El Monte. You see them maybe once every 2-3 decades. Yeah, I mean, this would be the perfect way to finish this thing. But we got to remind people, and this is the key dynamic going into this game. Gladstone played Azusa in a similar situation a few weeks ago now, and they got upset. This is that kind of situation, Fred. Right. South El Monte is very capable. Last year's game was an El Monte win, 20-13.
Yeah.
That was with B-Mart, obviously. There is not a ton separating these two teams talent-wise, in my opinion, outside of B-Mart.
Right.
So South El Monte has a fighting chance in this game. They have a very good coach. They can put forth a very good game plan. That's the other thing I like about them. Defensively, they can play pretty well. They held B-Mart to 20 points last year. Yeah. So I put South El Monte right in this game, Fred.
And the thing about El Monte, though, Aaron, the difference for me is nobody's been able to stop them all year. When you look at all of their opponents, they've been able to score 41 points a game. Yeah. Now, South El Monte, they average 20 points a game, and I think I said this on the post-game show that of all of the teams in the Mission Valley League, I think they're going to throw the most offense at El Monte. I think their offense is probably better than Arroyo. Rosemead beat them in a defensive game, but I think that I've seen El Monte enough times to know that they are capable of giving up a lot of points. And you're right, I was at that rivalry game just a couple weeks ago with Azusa and Gladstone and saw what emotions can do in a game like this. So I do think it's going to be a pretty close game. I just really think B-Mart in this situation, and Abel Barajas, his receiver, and he's got 3 receivers, I just think that they're going to be able to score at will. I just do. And I think in a shootout, now I think South El Monte has a better chance than the other teams in this league. Mm-hmm. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, outside of El Monte, South El Monte averaging the second highest amount of points in the league. Conversely, defensively, South El Monte in league allowing the least amount of points, Freddie, 9.2 points per game so far in league, 13.5 on the season. South El Monte can play defense. I've got El Monte, but I've got them by a touchdown, maybe even less. What do you got?
Yeah, I've got El Monte too, and I like it in a close game. I like it in a close game too. But I think they're going to pull it out. I think I've seen B-Mart do that in a couple games where, he's good in the fourth quarter. The only game he really lost in a shootout this year was that one to Gladstone, and it wasn't his point.
Yeah, and they had a big lead.
Points.
They had a very big lead.
When your defense gives up 68 points, there's a good chance you're going to lose, even when your offense.
Well, that was 3 OT, or maybe even 4.
But great finish. That's on That's Thursday night. Aram's going to be there. Aram's first B-Mart game.
Yeah, my first B-Mart game. I'm very happy to be out there. It should be a very, very wild night. This is a budding rivalry. I know South El Monte's, just opened in the '90s, but I mean, somewhat of a rivalry that's grown, and they call it the Griffin Bowl, and I'm still not clear what that means. But anyways,
I wasn't going to ask.
Nonetheless. Okay, so we both have El Monte, but close. Get out there, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be a very good one on Thursday night in the Mission Valley League Championship on the line. Eagles and Lions.